Now, the decision of who succeeds Femi Gbajabiamila as Speaker of the House of Representatives has become a back and forth on who to vote for. Now, with Honorable Tajudeen Abass being APC's choice, others interested in these positions, like Honorable Ahmed Wase, among others, have said that they won't step down while liaising with other members of the House to improve their chances of clinching the speakership seat in the National Assembly. Now, ahead of the inauguration, President Bola Tinubu may have given the President of the Senate, Senator Ahmad Lawan, and the Speaker, House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, an assignment to ensure that double nominations are avoided in both chambers on that day. That is the crux of what we will be talking about next. Joining us in the studio is President Emeritus, Ekiyor Youth Council, founder Rahi Medical Outreach, Chris Ekiyor. It's nice to have you join us in the studio.
Thank you and good morning.
Great,
welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
And we also have in our Abuja studio member-elect Ikotek Bene STN Udim Obot Akara Federal Constituency, Akwa Ibom State, Dr. Patrick Umoh. Dr. Umoh, it's nice to have you join us this morning.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, let me start with you, Dr. Patrick. I know that all of these intrigues, all of you members-elect are in the middle of things. But from the rest, when we sit from the outside and watch what's happening, read what's going on, and all of the opinions, and engage sometimes to get people's opinion and members, it looks like there is a lot of intrigues going on. Make us understand, why is it so challenging to agree when it comes to the leadership of the 10th Assembly? What are the issues in there? Make us understand.
Well, thank you for asking me this. The issues are clear. It is to decide who leads the House of Representatives as Speaker. And it's not difficult to find who should be the Speaker. This is in view of the fact that day after day there have been endorsements of a particular candidate, fantastic, refined gentleman, Honorable Tajudeen Abass. He stands out. And so it's no longer very difficult to find. And the APC, the All Progressives Congress, has given direction as a ruling party. And Tajudeen Abass has been unequivocally endorsed as the next Speaker of the House of Representatives. And we're working assiduously to ensure his emergence as the Honorable Speaker. He has capacity, he has a serious profile that stands him out amongst others who are in the contest. And like I said earlier, the geopolitical zones have endorsed him, and it's not difficult to know that he has capacity to lead us. And so all of these are allowed. People have to show interest. It's politics. They have constitutional rights. They are qualified. But I think Honorable Tajudeen Abass is eminently qualified, and in fact the most qualified to lead the 10th National Assembly, particularly House of Representatives. And so it's not difficult to identify who's going to lead us, because he stands out.
All right. Dr. Umoh, let's put you on hold, come back to the studios to get more insights on the leadership tussle in the National Assembly. Of course, the party has taken a decision on whom they feel should lead both chambers, that's the Senate and the House of Reps. And the president also said as much in his latest meeting with the lawmakers-elect. What do you make of the fact, though, that even though the party says its stance is based on fairness and justice and equity, the party doesn't appear to be on the same page in that, some other key contenders from within the party are also insisting they will still slug it out with the party's preferred candidates?
Yeah, so in a democracy, people have the right to express the desires to be ambitious and, of course, aspire. And nobody's going to stop that, whether you're in the same party or in a different party. So if you take it from even the presidential elections, it wasn't an easy walkthrough. You have to walk your way to the top. So what you're seeing is what it should be. The party can decide one thing, and the party is supreme, but people have their right to say, okay, Party may say one thing, but I'm in the party. If you don't consider me, I can still express my desire. Now, and that's the beauty of democracy. What Nigerians don't want to see is where people are gagged to support a candidate and then it becomes a rubber stamp candidate. Fortunately and unfortunately, I do not see that happening now. That was what happened in the 9th Assembly, where you had everything working smoothly for the past administration, and it became just a walkthrough for whatever they bring in, and they lost the mentee to be able to direct their roles as legislators, where you have separation of powers. So we don't want to see that in the 10th Assembly. It doesn't matter how the leadership emerge. We want to see a leadership that is robust and is thinking independent and is able to checkmate the executive if there's any form of rascality. That's what Nigerians crave for. Knowing fully well that what happened in the 9th Assembly took us a little bit down the inflation lane, where we went up in inflation, unemployment, radical borrowing that doesn't mean anything. So people are conscious now that this has to be. Looking at the candidates, I think they're all experienced. Abass that they're rooting for is not a bad candidate. What Nigerians will say is it doesn't matter who's supporting you or how you get there. What matters is that you're a legislator who's representing the people and needs to work in the interest of the people. That's how I see it.
All right, Dr. Umoh, what we are looking at now is the role that the opposition political parties come together will be playing. Now, if you look at the numbers, the APC, which is the ruling party, has about 177 members, and then the opposition put together have over 180. Now, we're seeing how it seemed like the opposition are organizing themselves in that regard, talking about the numbers, the PDP, ABGA, NNPP, ADC, Labour Party, YPP, and so on. What kind of, as much as you say, okay, all of you are coming together to come up with, to support a candidate, but what role would the opposition be playing here? Is it likely to see some surprises?
Oh, well, you see, after elections, when you win elections, it becomes a National Assembly as a congregation of diverse political parties coming together to make laws for our country. But as it is, talking about numbers, we've had, like I said, Tajudeen Abass and Benjamin Kalu have been endorsed across party lines, talking about the geopolitical zone caucuses and even the state caucuses. For instance, you have in the Northeast, about 38 members have endorsed him out of 48. Northwest, you have about 74 out of 92 who have endorsed Tajudeen Abass. Going to Southeast, you have 35 out of 43. Go to North Central, you have about 37 out of 49. And then coming to South-South, we are yet to do the endorsement, but we are sure we are going to have it today. And Southwest, you have about 71 members, whom I'm sure, of course, that's the stronghold of Honorable Tajudeen Abass and Benjamin Kalu. And again, this is more like a joint endorsement because Nigeria runs a bicameral legislature. And so it is that the party has given direction, and there are admonitions here and there that other contenders should sheath their swords. It is not difficult to identify who should lead the National Assembly. Nigeria needs to take off. Nigeria needs to, this particular government, the 10th Assembly has to cooperate with the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to give Nigeria the needed leadership. And so I don't think the challenges here and there or the interest here and there cannot be harmonized. I think Mr. President is also doing his best to ensure that we have the direction and we have a better country for all of us. And so it is my candid opinion that since the right candidate has been identified, all must join hands, come together and build the 10th Assembly. And so if you have that, I think there's a direction. And Honorable Tajudeen Abass will give that needed leadership to the 10th Assembly. And that's the House of Representatives. Just like we have in the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio and Jubrin Barau. The endorsements are clear, cutting across all geopolitical zones. And so it's not going to be difficult to have a robust legislative engagement. And so for me, I feel it will be a clear win for Honorable Tajudeen Abass, emerging as the Speaker of the 10th Assembly across party lines. And then again, the 10th Assembly is going to be constituted by a majority of fresh people in the National Assembly with very young blood ready to work, ready to serve Nigerians, with such a huge commitment to the people. And so it's not going to be difficult to move Nigeria beyond where it is. And so it is important to advise contending parties to sheath their swords and look at the direction that the party has given, the ruling party, the All Progressives Congress. So it's not going to be difficult.
Right. Dr. Umoh, so in your own opinion, what effect did you think, or do you think the president's meeting with lawmakers-elect, what effect do you think it has, or it has had on, this tussle so far? We understand he's going to meet with some, like Honorable Betara today, but, a personality like the current deputy House leader now, the Deputy Speaker, I should say, Honourable Wase, who is saying he's still in the race. What effect do you think, this intervention by the president has had on the controversy so far?
Well, I envisage that things will be resolved. All of us have great respect for Mr. President, and I know these gentlemen also respect Mr. President. And so, since the direction is clear, I expect that they will be part of the decision of the party. And incidentally, they are all members of the All Progressives Congress, and the president had been the national leader of the party, and today is the president of our country. And so it's only safe, advisedly safe, that they listen to Mr. President, and they will move the country forward. That's the right thing to do. That's just...
Okay, Chris, let me come to you on this. The point there is some people have said, in fact, some members of the National Assembly have said that the leadership of the National Assembly should be left to the National Assembly to decide. So when we see meetings by the president, calling meeting with the members-elect, and then, all of these external things, external factors, external people who are not going to be members of the National Assembly, holding meetings, and in fact, we see campaigns here and there, voices from here and there. Do you consider all of these as interference?
Okay, so technically, the National Assembly cannot truly be by itself. It represents people, and people have interest in what happens in the National Assembly. But what we are trying to avoid is meddlesomeness of the executive arm in the affairs of the National Assembly.
Okay.
But what's happening now is politics. It's only after leaders have emerged and then the executive begin to meddle that Nigerians will have a reason to worry. Okay. So I've said, no matter what you see now, people are interested in trying to find the best outcome, possible outcome for Nigerians. So if the president is getting involved, he's probably looking for somebody he can work with. Now, I want to see a president who wants to work with somebody who's also independent, not somebody that will become a rubber stamp for him. The beauty of this National Assembly is an admix of a rainbow coalition of people. My only worry has been that a lot of them are young, and the thing with this politics is that you get in there with one idea, and then you are bamboozled with resources, and you find out that you want to join the big league, and then you sell your soul out. That's what I'm worried about, a lot of those who are going to emerge there who are not prepared for it. They just get in the National Assembly, and then they think that I'm going there to be radical and then pursue common interests, and before you know it, they're in the handbag of those who are very familiar with the system. Now, if that doesn't happen, we have a very beautiful National Assembly as it is now, with different parties, different ideologies, that we contend with issues on the floor for debates. Now, I think that I have no problem with Tajudeen emerging, looking at the number of bills he sent into the House and how radical he's been since he's been there. My only concern, and most Nigerians will only be worried if this meddlesomeness that we're envisaging proceeds beyond the politics of somebody emerging. What the president is doing as national leader of the party is just okay. Your party needs to provide somebody who will be Speaker of the House. You need to help them balance it so you don't, in the course of trying to divide yourself, the opposition party takes the shine. You saw what happened with the Dogaras and
exactly.
So he has to be careful not to allow his party to be balkanized into factions. You just did the statistics. 180 can just gang up, and then before you know, he has some opposition leader leading the House. It will make governance difficult for the president. So I'm sure that's why you see all these extraordinary meetings trying to calm frail nerves, get people to think together. But of course, in a democracy, everybody can get a buy-in. I think that eventually at the end of 13th, which is around the corner, we'll know who would emerge. the Nigerians will have to keep our barometers clear and be monitoring and to see what this National Assembly will turn to be. For us, we have a country that needs to reset itself, and it has to be both in the executive arm and with the National Assembly. The National Assembly have a major role in oversight functions, which they didn't do in the last time. So I expect to see a National Assembly, particularly the House of Reps with the large numbers, diverse membership, to be able to challenge the status quo if things continue the way they are.
All right, and okay, you kind of answered my next question, which has to do with the numbers. Of course, APC still has the numbers, but when you look at APC against the other opposition parties or the opposition parties, so to speak, in the House, for example, the opposition group has the majority. But how do you think this will kind of work for the APC? Moving forward. Yes, you said that they are largely a crop of first-timers. First-timers. But how you think this would also work for the ruling party, as against on the flip side, where it could even work against them? How do you foresee?
That is the main reason why you can see that the party is getting involved. The party doesn't want to be further back in lines of interest, individual interest. It wants to go in as a party with a bloc, so he can just muzzle a few from the other opposition and find a comfortable position in the House. Now, that's why you see all this meddlesomeness or this assumed meddlesomeness. If you allow the candidates, you probably have 5 of them showing interest. They now split themselves into 5 caucus and all of that, and you have them working at different cross purposes, and then the opposition will just group together and say, okay, keep fighting. And they just assume, and before you know, they have somebody leading the House, not from the majority party. So that's why you see the party saying, we want to go this way, we expect our members to go this way. So the trading will be from the others, not within the party anymore. Of course, you don't expect somebody who has been Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps to just walk away. He has some clout within the House and some followership. So the party needs to walk that path to ensure that their endorsed candidate has what they want eventually. But I love what we're seeing. It is the beauty of democracy, trading and politicking. It's what makes it democracy.
Right. I also wanted to ask quickly, though, that do you also get a sense that perhaps the party should have made its stance earlier than now? Because apparently the dust is yet to settle, even though it is expected that everyone will eventually agree. But could there have been a way to not allow this to happen? The fact that people from within the party who feel they are entitled to have been the party's anointed candidates, could the party have found a less rancorous way to make it stand?
I don't think there could have been any other way. Ask me why, because it's now that you're at the Rubicon. You have to cross it now. You're at the bridge. It's now you're at the bridge and you need to cross the bridge. You can't cross the bridge before you get to the bridge. So it worked. The party may have been doing its homework from the very beginning. What was seen are the smoke arising from those fires that the fireworks have been doing all the while. So this smoke is now visible to everybody, and we now know there's fire somewhere. But I'm sure that the party ab initio had known that going forward, this section of the country needs to provide, because it has a zoning formula, speakership, and of the list available, this 1, 2, 3, this is most qualified, or this is one we think we can work with. So, but what you're seeing is that we're at the bridge, and so the smoke is out, and Nigerians are beginning to say, okay, I hope that we're not going to have a president who will not select his cronies and put them there, and we keep rubber stamping thing. But I don't think that will happen. I think that the current administration, the leadership of the party, the president, seem to be very ready for what he wants to do. He's been taking steps like without caring whose us is God. He's moving one step at a time, and every day taking an action that should reverse the trend that we're seeing now. There'll be some tough time, but I think that those tough times would negate whatever bad times we've experienced before. So what is happening now is healthy. It should not just progress beyond now, where after they're elected, then you have a people where whatever they throw to them, they just say yes. You become a political yes man, and Nigerians will be very disappointed in that National Assembly. This should be better. This should be better.
Okay. Dr. Umoh, let me come to you here. Now, let's talk about the issue of consultation. Now, some members of the party, especially for those who are not happy with the party's arrangement, said that there wasn't adequate consultation, that they were not consulted when the party was zoning these offices to various zones. You are an insider. Speak to us whether that was adequately done or not.
I I think when you have a situation like this, people are bound to make excuses. The reality is that the party had engaged in a series of consultations before this zoning arrangement came up. And so it is untrue to say there was not much consultations made. That's not correct. The party went as far as looking at some political considerations across the country, and they were also very strategic and sensitive to the peculiarities of Nigeria in arriving at the current zoning arrangement for the National Assembly, that is, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the 10th Senate and the 10th House of Representatives. And so it is possible to hear all of this. You see, in Nigeria, when something doesn't favor you, you must find a way to criticize it. All of us are members of the party, and loyalty to the party is the in thing. Party is supreme. And so it is clear that this is done in the best interest of our country. And it is difficult to accept that anyone should sit back and complain that he was not consulted personally. The consultations were made across the zones, and it's very strategic. And the president is set to move the country forward. And so for me, we should be looking at the 10th Assembly and what we can offer Nigerians. Because the way we are going, I have implicit faith in what Mr. President intends for the country. And so this requires partnership from all angles. Let's not be selfish. Let's look beyond our interest and face national interest. So I feel party had consulted widely before coming to this zoning arrangement. And so I don't have a problem with that.
Right. Chris Ekiyor in the studio also spoke about the crop of, this lawmakers, including yourself, the lawmakers-elect that we are going to be seeing, and the value they'll be bringing into the system. Of course, you could argue, back and forth, but what really is the 10th Assembly offering Nigerians, especially when you look at, as you all have noted, we're having, so many newcomers coming in, as against the argument that the older you get, in the House or the Senate, the better you become as a lawmaker.
Well, it's a clear issue. For me, I know that the 10th Assembly is ready to offer Nigerians the needed, the expected legislations. In the sense that we must accept as Nigerians that the times are very challenging, and we need laws that can revamp the economy. We need laws that can shape our country. We need laws that can help the country move forward. And so I don't think it is the older you get. I mean, this is my first term in the National Assembly. So I feel it is more about the consciousness, it's more about the political will, it's more about the focus you have, it's more about the people you represent. Of course, when you know the needs of the people, you can make laws that will affect them. When you have the people at the center of your representation, it is clear you will do well. I don't agree that the older you get, if you don't love your people, if you live there for 20 years, for 20 terms rather, it will make no difference. But if you love your people and you are ready to serve them, you are conscious that you are here to represent them, and you have 4 years, and then you must hit the ground running. And what are the issues? You look at the laws that can help Nigeria move from where it is currently. You know how it is. And we have to take very drastic steps to get the country to move. In fact, we literally have to ensure that we get Nigerians we get the economy to work. I mean, recently, with the subsidy issues, you can imagine some of us have to make sacrifices. Nigerians have to make sacrifices to get the country to move forward. So those of us in the National Assembly are conscious that Nigerians expect so much from us. And it starts from here. Once you have the consciousness, you will represent the people, and then you know their needs. So it is not the older you get. Yes, it's okay. You can say this, you can make these arguments here and there, you can argue back and forth, but it is clear. Once you have the interest of the people at heart, you know the kind of the quality of legislations that Nigeria needs to move forward, and they are clear.
All right, Chris, let me come to you with that position. Actually, in the United States, we've seen lawmakers who have been in the Congress for 40, 50 years, even more than that. We've seen instances where it looks like a generational succession, where some persons hand over even to their sons or daughters, and they carry it on that way, and so on. Some people have the idea that National Assembly membership is not actually meant to, members who go in and out are not meant to necessarily change very swiftly. That the longer you stay in the National Assembly, the more robust, because we need experience, to guide the government of the day. Whichever president comes on board, you need the National Assembly to guide with maturity, with experience, with hindsight, and all of that. What do you make of that, then?
Yeah. So in very civilized climate, that's the trend, right, where the more you stay in the Senate or the House of Representatives, the more you become mature, the more you're able to meander the tough waters of negotiation, the more you form a lobbyist group with yourselves, and the more you're able to influence national policy. Now, why are the people in this climate not wrangling for change? It is not gratifying. A senator in the U.S., for instance, will join the train. He's not a full-time job for him. He's got to do his own job. He gets paid for sittings. In Nigeria, it's an employment. It is gratifying. So some people just want they want that access. They're not interested in what the people they represent. They get in there. They want access to influence the minister who is going to come there so they can take projects for themselves. They want access to take a school to their constituency. Let it be I'm the one that brought the school. They want access to be able to be known. They want access to be able to travel with diplomatic passports. And then the spoils of the office is comfortable enough and comforting for them to perpetuate themselves in the process. So they want to struggle. And then those who hitherto were their friends yesterday could see this influence and no, this is a job. I need to replace this man. So there's always this struggle. You've done yours, you've had enough money, you need to get out, let me get in. And there's also this arrangement of zoning in the country that says, this man has gone, he's made some money, let him get away, let another person come and make some money. So it's our mental state. We will get out of that over time as our democracy mature, and until we change some of these unnecessary pecs that members of the National Assembly have, we're going to keep having people struggling to replace people. In my constituency, where I'm from, the person representing us, it's been there from 1999 till date. Nobody's happy with him, that's the truth. But he's been there because he's been able to manipulate the process to continue to be there. He's not done anything for us. That's the truth. But he's been there. Has he made more laws by staying there longer? The answer is no. He has not moved a motion for any bill, as far as I know, or any law, or any federal project that he's brought in that is significant, has impacted on my constituency. But it's in the House of Reps. He's the oldest serving member. So yes, I agree with him. It's not how long you stayed there. It's how radical you want to represent your people. It's what impact you want to bring to the table. Kirsten Pond, this is his second term. He's sponsored some bill. He's been pushing hard for the Maritime University, for instance, to be supported. So a man who goes there ready to work will hit the ground running from day one. But let me tell you also, people who go there with hungry stomachs will also find the kind of pecs that will make them lose focus completely. So I've had friends who have gone, my colleagues' friends, I ran in 2011, I didn't succeed against the person I'm talking about, but I have friends who went in there and just started there feeding and getting fat, and went, after 4 years, they kicked them out. They don't even know what they went to do there. You're still going to have this kind of people in this 10th Assembly. But the most important thing is that there is what you call a bandwagon effect of radical minds. If you have more radical minds pursuing a cause, you see those kind of people just permeating and following suit. In the Saraki era, you saw what happened when they were ready to checkmate the presidency. Now, I'm not saying that the National Assembly must be at the neck of the executive, but there must be a way where work is done in such a way that it is for the interest of country.
All right. So still on this subject, Dr. Patrick Umoh. So, of course, it's a lingering argument now, an advocacy talking about, the issue about cost of governance, how, this should be lessened. Even in the National Assembly, too, there are also calls for lawmakers, for the monies, that lawmakers are entitled to, there to be a drastic reduction, so to speak, that they do they get so much and, don't do enough. Let's have your insight in this advocacy. Of course, it appears it will also increase even now, but what do you make of this argument, especially now that you're a lawmaker?
Well, you're talking about the cost of governance and all that. You see, sometimes even the things we hear outside, things I used to hear about National Assembly members when I wasn't a member, I've come to realize that they are not as true as stated in the media. Sometimes you hear they collect so much, but when you come in, you see so less. And so it's one argument that is neither here nor there. But I am an advocate of low-cost governance. I don't feel Nigerians need serious attention, particularly the youth of our country. And so we should redirect our resources towards engaging the youth, however this can go. But I want a situation where our youth can feel some sense of belonging in the quality of laws we make, in the nature of our budgets. It should reflect clearly that we are interested in education, that we are interested in security, we are interested in the economy, we are interested in healthcare, we are interested in the social welfare of Nigerians, as contemplated in Chapter 2 of our Constitution. That's the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy. And so once we do that, once we direct our energy towards that as leaders of our country, we'll have it right. But a situation where we sit down and look at how comfortable we can be in parliament, how comfortable we can be in the executive, how comfortable we can be looking at the judiciary as well, then it's going to be unnervingly difficult to get it right in our country. So we have to make sacrifices. Most of us are prepared to sacrifice and ensure that Nigerians get it right this time around. And I'm very happy about the commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because he appears ready for the job. And so far, so good. So I'm thinking that the 10th Assembly is going to do its best to provide the right legislations so that our country can be stable. We need a stable economy. We need to have security of lives and property for Nigerians to be comfortable. So people won't score in droves to other countries in search of greener pastures. We need stability in our country. And so we have this task before us. And for me, I feel that we should also be patient a bit, because it's tough. The indices are clear that it's so tough right now in our country. But I'm optimistic that given the energy, the positive energy most of us are carrying to the National Assembly as first-timers, we are convinced we will do well. We are convinced we will serve the people right. We are also convinced that Nigeria will move forward. And so Nigerians also have to see some propagation, some false news can make even those representing you to hate you. I mean, when I was in the National Assembly, when I wasn't in the National Assembly, I used to hear they've given these, they've bogus sums here and there, bizarre amounts here and there, and you'll be asking questions. But now, you see, people should verify some of these stories so that they can also have mercy on us, particularly those of us who are ready to serve and work for Nigerians. So that is it. I don't believe in jumbo packages. I believe in service. That's why I'm here, and I'm ready to serve. And I know most of my colleagues, particularly those who are coming for the first time to the National Assembly, whether as senators or as House of Representative members, in my interactions, particularly during the induction, I've seen a lot of positive energy to serve the country. And so that's why I'm happy. That's why I'm confident that we will do a whole lot for this country, and that we're committed to serve the country.
Okay. All right. Nigerians expect to hear clearly from the National Assembly when it comes to this issue of jumbo pay and all of that. When there is no statement, when there is no,
transparency,
clarity or transparency, of course, Nigerians will speculate here and there. But Chris, let me come to you on this issue of constitutional amendment. The 9th Assembly was able to, set the pace by, working out a few things that were amended on the Constitution. We saw how a few items on the exclusive list was, taken to the concurrent list. We saw railway, we saw power, we saw the correctional services, and a few others, and so on. What do you see the 10th National Assembly doing in the area of constitutional amendment? Because Nigerians are not satisfied yet. They still want more.
Okay, I'm one of those who have said that as is, if we just only apply 45% of what's in our constitution, stricto sensu, Nigeria will move forward. You do all these amendments and we still do not implement them. We're back to where we are. So it's good that these things have been moved. How are they going to be implemented? So I want to see a National Assembly that does more of oversight function than dwelling more on making new laws and new laws and new laws. When the ones we have not been fixed. So dust up the ones we have, pick the things that can work in those ones and get an oversight on those things to work. Take for instance, the correctional centers. You've done something. What then should be done going forward? Take the railways. The railway needs to come. Look at the cost of gas now and fuel, PMS. It's not something that an average earner can afford. So if you have a mass transit system that works and people can pay a fixed amount monthly to cover their transport within a city, why won't people embrace it? In the UK, for instance, you don't expect someone to spend more than £9 running the rail, averagely in a week or in a day. So, but here, you don't have a budget for transport. You can wake up in the morning and the bus driver tells you that it's 1,000. Tomorrow is 600. Next tomorrow is 2,000. So you can't control those indexes. So I expect a 10th assembly that will be more concerned about, now that you have all of this approved before us, you want to implement them. How do you go about implementing them? We're interested in you following it to the letter so Nigerians can benefit from it. I expect a National Assembly that sees a new drive from a president who wants to cause change and support it, or disagrees if they find out that that will hurt Nigerians, and do it within the ambit of the law. I expect a clear separation of power where the National Assembly, though working in harmony with the executive, are not just a yes-man National Assembly, where they should be able to challenge the status quo if the issue will affect Nigerians, not if the issue will not satisfy their yearnings. Because you can see sometimes when they disagree, they are not disagreeing because what will come out of that deal will be for the good of Nigerians. It's because what they want to take out of that deal is not in their favor. So you can hear the echoes of Honorable Minister off your mic. It's still very fresh in my head. Because once he started confronting them to what they have created, they had to say off your mic. Because they don't want him to speak. So I want a 10th assembly that, yes, people should have perks in office, but it should not be at the expense of the common citizen who we are supposed to represent and work for. The burden of governance is more on the people. Every law that is made is meant to improve the people. Ironically, the people suffer for it. And when the people are enduring enough to suffer that process, they expect that in the long run, it will be good for everybody. So what this National Assembly must do now, take for instance the subsidy. A lot of monies will be saved. Should that go to private pocket? The answer will be no. They should monitor and make sure that there's an oversight function for that money saved, being plunged in the areas of healthcare, good roads, infrastructure, electricity, because one of the biggest bane of our country is power. Right now, people run power for themselves. It was water initially. Growing up, we had water corporations. Of course. You don't need to bother to sink a ball in your house. Today in Nigeria, everybody probably have one borehole in their homes. We're getting there with electricity. People are beginning to use solar panels and generators. This needs to be the focus of the 10th Assembly, oversight function.
Well, quickly on a final note, I know I've run out of time, but the power of recall, you've spoken about expectations for the lawmakers as, they come on board. What about the people? We've seen, attempts in the past for people to recall lawmakers, but, that didn't get anywhere. In terms of the dynamics, are we going to see things differently on the parts of the people, knowing that they have this power that they hardly use? Okay,
so exactly the point. Nigerians are lazy about following processes through and through, because everybody will like, is it my business? But I'm sure that as we mature in a democracy, we'll get there. You just need to have one constituency succeeding, and then everybody will line up and follow.
Bandwagon. All right, we have to leave you here now. Chris Ekiyor, President Emeritus, Ekiyor Youth Council, and founder Rahi Medical Outreach. We thank you so much for your time on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We also thank you, Dr. Patrick Umoh, the member-elect, Ikotek Bene, SNUDIM Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State. Thank you so much for talking to us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much.